Yo, what's up, everyone? Mike Hill, the Wholesaling Titan here. Missed you. Today, I want to talk to you about a question I've been getting a lot, surprisingly a lot. And that's Mike, how do you stay so motivated? So, in this video, it's going to be a little bit different from my usual videos, which are typically more process oriented. But I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here. So, I'm going to start off with three things that are kind of shallow. It's going to be very short, just a couple tips that are going to help you improve. And then for the rest of the video, I kind of want to deep dive into this whole concept of motivation and give you some more tangible and actionable steps that you can do to really help you out in this area. So first off, I'm going to say, hey, we're all motivated by different things. You've really got to kind of deep dive into yourself in here and find out what is it that motivates you personally. Now, I think a lot of us, probably all of us are motivated by gain. So you got to think, what are the things that you really want? And this is where goal setting is so important. Now, I do have a vision board, and you've probably heard this concept in various, seminars, or maybe if you've seen the movie The Secret, and where you visually place things that you want to achieve, goals that you have. Now, I keep mine in digital format on my computer, and I use a program called Xmind. It's a mind mapping tool that's really, really helpful. So I can update it on a regular basis and drop in the different things I want, the things I want to achieve. And I go ahead and look at that on a daily basis, a lot of times, several times a day. And it's really helpful when you can see visually, the things that you want, and you're on target, on goal. So when you don't feel like doing something, you just swipe over and look at it and say, oh yeah, I'm doing this for a reason, man. Like this is the path that I'm on. I'm gonna go here and then here, and these are the things I want to achieve. So I find that really, really helpful. That's one thing you can do to get started. The second thing is that we all have influential people that we look up to, people who are successful in our mind. So for me, these are guys like Gary Vee, Grant Cardone. If you've read Arnold Schwarzenegger's biography, just a lot of success and achievement there. So I know those guys are successful, but rather than focus on successes and things they've achieved, I already know they exist. I like to listen to and focus on when they talk about their failures and their struggle. So recently I heard an interview with a bodybuilder. I think he was the winner of Mr. Olympia, actually. He talked about how hard and hurtful it was when he didn't win his first couple of competitions, and how that motivated him to just, work so much harder. The famous Michael Jordan story where he got cut from the high school basketball team, that motivated him to try harder. Because, this is life, man. We're all going to have setbacks, and we're going to fail and stuff like that. And so many people, they quit or they get discouraged. But for me, when you see the success story and then you hear that, hey, they went through the shit too, it really, I find it very motivating to know that, hey, these guys fell on their face, they messed up, they're dedicated to the process and made it. And that for me brings a lot of comfort and a lot of motivation. Okay, so next concept, right, is emotion creates motion. And I think that's actually like a Tony Robbins quote. But basically, if you think to a time where you were just super, super motivated and feel that emotion, really feel it in your body can actually recreate that same emotion, right? So one thing that I've been studying for years and that I'm doing is, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. And I'm not going to go into the details in this video, but very, very powerful stuff. Matter of fact, in the future, I'm going to be doing kind of like a mini video training series where I'm connecting NLP and how I use it in my sales script in order to get video. It's going to be dope, man. It's going to be sick. So when it does come out, I'm in the process of creating it. I'll drop the link on this channel. But anyway, NLP is something where you can actually recreate those emotions, in this case, motivation, using NLP, which is basically reprogramming your brain, your subconscious mind, based on language patterns to bring you back to that moment. So it's a whole process on how you set this thing up properly. But just to give you a very, very basic idea, I use an example, right? I'm an MMA fighter, so I can think about a time when I won a fight. After I've won the fight, we're at the end, the ref holds up my hand. It's a very empowering, very awesome feeling. You just got in a fight, your heart's pumping, there's adrenaline, your brain is dumping God knows what kind of chemicals into you. The crowd is cheering. It freaking feels amazing, right? You're in the middle of a cage. You might have blood on you, whatever your thing is, but it's a dope feeling, right? So what you do is you take yourself back to that moment. Close your eyes if you can, visualize it. You want to see everything that was in the crowd, see it exactly as it was. You want to smell the smells that were there. You want to feel the emotion. You want to see it visually, see everything you saw, hear everything you heard, smell everything you smelled, and really like recreate that at image in your mind to the best of your ability, right? And then there are different techniques you can do in NLP, but this is just one of them. And then what you do is you anchor. So it's the same thing as, Pavlov's dog with the bell. So I might think about that moment and put my hand into a fist and squeeze it, 5 times and just say like, I'm a winner. And then what I can do after I've created that anchor is, let's say, maybe I'm in a sales meeting or something where I'm not feeling so confident. I can do that same motion, that anchor, and it will bring back those feelings, of success, of confidence, of motivation, or whatever it is you want to do. So that's such a powerful concept, and it's so dope. Like I said, I'm going to release a kind of mini training series where I intertwine that concept of NLP and show you all the steps to set it up properly, which is a lot more than I can go through in this video, and then show you how I intertwine that with my sales script so you can, how I'm getting my contracts and stuff like that. So again, those are the three basic tips you can start that's going to really help you with motivation. And now here's where I'm going to deep dive into my real answer to this question, right? And so when I hear this question, I see it a lot on my Facebook messages and stuff like that, it's not that I get pissed, but I just think like, yo, this is a shitty question. This is a terrible question, because if I'm being like very, very real with you, my answer to that question is, it's quite simply fuck motivation. I mean, that's just as real as I can be. Now let me explain why. Let me just stick with me for a second here, right? Motivation, the way I'm defining it here, is essentially saying you feel like doing something. So you're asking me a question like, how can I always feel like doing something? And if you think that anyone who's achieved greatness, be it a bodybuilder, an athlete, an actor, a business person, feels like doing the shit that they need to do every day, you're sorely, sorely mistaken. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I don't feel like sending the offer or making that phone call or doing whatever I need to do. It just simply doesn't exist. So you're chasing something that doesn't exist. Now, let me backpedal for a second here, because I see the comments coming in, right? Motivation definitely has its place, but for me, it's essentially like nitrous oxide, like the NOS. If you've seen like the Fast and Furious movies, or you're into racing at all, you hit that button and you get a boost, man, for sure. So if you're feeling super motivated, by all means, like take the phone, put it on airplane mode, shut the email off, and go get some work done, man. You'll probably be like super, super productive and super efficient. And when you have those moments, and there are definitely ways to increase those moments, like the 3 ways that I just listed, take advantage, right? But it's just a boost. There's no substitute for the actual car or the engine, right? So don't go chasing this thing that doesn't exist, because then when you don't feel motivated, or you don't feel like doing something, you're just gonna feel discouraged, and then your state just gonna drop, drop, drop. So again, motivation is basically saying, how do I feel like doing something? And it's not what you want to search for. That's not the question you should be asking. And I've got a quote pulled up here. This is by Tony Robbins. It says, quality questions create a quality life. Successful people ask better questions, and as a result, they get better answers. So the question you should be asking is not, how do I stay motivated? It should be, how can I stay disciplined? And discipline gets a bad rap. Like, people don't like that word. Maybe if you're like me, you get some good Caribbean parents, you think of getting beatings when you were small, right? But no, discipline, the way I'm going to define it for you here is, how do I do the things that I need to do whether or not I feel like doing them? So how do I get shit done, man? Like, how do I do the things I need to do whether or not I feel like doing them? And that's the real question that you want to ask. And of course, I got some steps for you here, right? So again, just as a reminder, anybody who's ever achieved or won anything, motivation, sure, it helps. It's a cheat code almost, but you're never going to always be in that state. So let me give you a couple of things to do. And if you're taking notes, write these things down. Okay. Number 1, take a cold shower. It's like weird, right? Like, what the heck does this have to do with anything? But maybe you've heard me say this before. And I take a cold shower every morning. I hate it. It sucks, man. It's shitty. But there's a reason for doing this, and that's this. When you take a cold shower, actually some health benefits to this, but separate and apart from that, it's probably going to suck. I hate it. I really do. But essentially, you're saying to your body, I can look at something that's going to be uncomfortable, that I don't want to do, and I can do it anyway. Like, what a concept, right? And no matter how bad it is, you come out okay. You come out alive, and you're sending that, you're communicating that message to your subconscious mind. Now I'll get into this in a little bit more detail in just a minute, but trust me on this. Just try it for a while. It works. You're really training your body. Discipline is like a muscle, so you can build it. And you don't want to start off too big. Just start with these small little things, and over time, you can build your discipline up, right? So the next step is very, very similar concept. Stop using your snooze button. And let me explain to you why. Again, you might have heard this before, but essentially the night before, when you go to bed and you set your alarm, you are making a commitment to yourself. You are saying, I am committing to waking up at X time, 5 a.m. or whatever. When that alarm clock goes off in the morning, as soon as you hit the snooze button, you are sending a subconscious message to your mind that it is okay to break your promise, to not follow through on commitments. And I can tell you, it's another lesson I took from Jim Rohn actually. Everything affects everything. You think it's just a snooze button? That will enter your subconscious mind and tell you that it is okay to break commitments. It is okay to not be disciplined. And that will, that will just weave its way into other areas of your life, and it'll be very ugly. So you want to, if you commit to doing something, you have to do it. And start with small things. I mean, it's not that difficult. So stop using your snooze button. Next, have a morning routine. I talk about this extensively with my students in my mentoring program. And this concept I got from a guy named Hal Elrod. He's got an amazing book called The Miracle Morning. It's actually very short. There's an audiobook version of the program as well. It's probably like 4 hours or so. Definitely get it. I highly recommend it because it's very much actionable. And I can tell you from personal experience, but also the author says this is probably one of the best changes he's made in his life. And within 30 days, you will see improvements everywhere in your finances, in your energy, everything. Now, I'll explain to you why this is so important, but I definitely recommend that book. It's probably in my top 5 books of all time, and I do a lot of reading. So essentially, a couple things going on here. First off, military generals, very high-ranking officials say the first thing you should do in the morning is make your bed. Why? Because this instills in you a sense of discipline. You have a routine. You don't wake up in a fog like, hey, what do I do today? It's like, hey, I'm up. I'm going to do the first thing. Boom, I made my bed. First thing done of the day, got it out the way. You feel a sense of accomplishment. You feel a sense of discipline, and you're ready to go on to the next thing, right? And with your morning routine, not only do you get that sense of confidence from getting the first thing done, but it builds momentum. So when you have a very successful and structured morning, you tend to have a very successful structured day. When you have a successful day, it builds momentum. You have a successful week, successful month, and years. And you see where I'm going with this. But it all starts with that small discipline in the morning. So another concept I got from Grant Cardone, he says, hey, any type of white space on your calendar is dangerous. You know that quote, the idle hands, devil's playground type of thing. So you really want to start with that routine. Don't not know where your morning is going to take you. And so one thing that Hal talks about in his book is performing the savers. And this is what I do. It's an acronym that I do every morning. So the first is silence. My morning routine takes me about an hour, maybe hour and a half, but you can actually do in as little as 10 minutes. So really no excuse here. But the first is silence. So I meditate in the mornings. Then your affirmations. Then visualization. This is where the vision board helps a lot too. Then exercise, get that heart pumping and ready to move for the day. Then reading, do reading every morning. And then the S is for scribing, just to sound cool, but basically, I write in my journal. So start your day off that way, and it will make such a huge, huge, huge difference. Can't even talk to you about that enough, right? And then from there, from having the morning routine, I recommend that you have a schedule. So many people, they get bored with routines. They always feel this need for change. And it's really not too helpful. Now, I recommend you, like I said before, don't have white space on your calendar. You want everything in a schedule and a routine that pretty much for the most part looks the same from week to week. Now, it doesn't mean you have to organize things by the minute. I'm doing this every 10 minutes, and it can be malleable. You can change up some things, right? But for the most part, you want to have a routine where you're doing the same things kind of week to week. So for example, the gym. And you should by all means be doing physical exercise, whether it's the gym or walking. Again, that adds to your discipline, that adds to your routine, and it's also just healthy and very good for you. So your schedule should look like Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 o'clock. I'm in the gym or I'm going for my walk. And because you made that commitment, You stick to it no matter what. It doesn't matter if you're tired. It doesn't matter if you feel like it. In society, I think like so often we're just caught up in, do we feel like doing this? Do we feel like doing that? Feelings do not have a place here. I mean, you can feel it, but it should not impact your decision. A shitty workout is better than no workout at all. And that's actually a quote from Gary Vee. He says, everything's better than zero. So many people, they don't start or they don't do something because it won't be perfect. But going to the gym and having a poor workout, maybe just walking on the treadmill, is much better than not going at all. And then you reinforce that concept of, I'm disciplined. I said I'm going to do something and I do it. So definitely commit to your gym. I remember when I was first getting started as a wholesaler and going full time, I used to just be in hustle mode. And I was like, I don't have time for the gym. And I just stopped going. And what I found is I was putting in more hours at work, but I was becoming less and less efficient. Now, there's also a book I've read called The Power of Full Engagement. I don't recall the authors right now, but this is scientifically backed. I think they were following participants for like years and years. And they found that the people who were the most busy said they didn't have time and all these different excuses. When they made time and actually scheduled their things like the gym, their hobbies, and their exercise and made those priorities, they were actually getting more work done. They were more efficient. Again, the discipline muscle is strengthened quite a bit. So definitely make sure that you are doing that, man. Go to the gym. Set your routine and commit and follow through on that commitment. Something else that will help you with this, don't break the chain. Now, you might have heard of this concept. This has been popularized by Jerry Seinfeld. And I might screw up the story here, but essentially somebody was interviewing him and he said when he was first getting started writing comedy, he would make a commitment to write every day, work on his material every day. And he put a big wall calendar up with, every day of the year. For every day that he did, his writing or worked on his craft or whatever, he would put a big red X, right? So then after several days, you'd have this chain of big red X's. And the idea was, it started to make you feel good. So you didn't want to break the chain. So he would just commit to not breaking the chain every day, making sure that he got that X up on his computer. So that's just another kind of exercise that you can try there. Next, this kind of leads us into habits, this concept of creating habits. Now, as you probably know, your mind is divided into your subconscious mind, which probably dictates about 90% of your actions and behaviors, and then your conscious mind, which is 10%. Now, the conscious mind, it needs a lot of energy. You know what I'm saying? It takes up a lot of brain power to focus on things. So what you want to do is you want to, in order to kind of strengthen this discipline muscle that we've been talking about, is try to make as many of your actions into habits as possible. So coming from someone who has a 7-year-old daughter, I remember when she's first learned to brush her teeth by herself, it's a process, man. You have to keep reminding them. They forget. It's kind of a pain, right? You have to say, did you brush your teeth? But then we get to a point where brushing the teeth is a habit. You wake up in the morning, you could be so tired. It doesn't matter. You stagger into the bathroom, you brush your teeth. You don't even think about it. And so that's what you want to do is you want to work these little things. So in our case, wholesaling, let's say making offers into habits, right? So you don't even think about it. You wake up in the morning, boom, you're sending offers automatically with very little effort, right? So this is how we kind of work on our habits. And getting back to that subconscious and conscious thing, another example aside from a teeth brushing is driving. When you first start driving, you got to be a little bit more focused, hands at 10 and 2. If you're driving manual, you might look down at your stick shift, right? But then after you've become proficient, you've been driving for a few years. I mean, I still want to encourage you to be an aware driver, but I mean, you probably don't even remember your drive to work. It just becomes automatic. So you want to focus on making a lot of these tasks in your life that need to get done. Like I said, in our case, sending offers automatic. So some really good resources that I want to recommend for that. Number one is called, not Secret Code of Success, which is a great book, by the way, but The Power Habit System. So this is a book by Noah St. John, same author. And it's phenomenal. And actually, I have the hardcover. I like to take notes in the margins of books I read, but also the audiobook. And I've gone through this several times. And basically, he breaks down for you, why we do certain things. We get a cue, and then we get a craving, and then we follow the routine. And the routine inevitably gives you some type of reward. Now, even if you don't realize it at the time, you are getting some type of reward subconsciously. So if you've ever procrastinated, which I'm sure all of us have, there's a reason. Maybe that procrastination brought you some kind of relief, or maybe it gave you an excuse for maybe waiting to the last minute to do something, but there is a reward. And he actually, through this book, shows you how to restructure, reshape your brain and your habits into doing things so they become habitual. And that's something that really, really will help you with the discipline that we've been talking about here. Another book that's going to be really powerful, some similar comments. And again, you don't have to take my word for it. That's the cool thing. These guys have backed this stuff with, science and experiments and control and, all that stuff to show you and prove to you that this works. But that's called The Power of Habit. It's by Charles Duhigg. And I think it's Duhigg. Another very, very powerful book on just how to create these habits and how powerful they are. Like, there's stuff that we do every day you would never consider a habit, like you don't even realize, but they're actually running our lives, and for the most part on automatic. So another thing I want to throw in there just about the discipline is I'm thinking about this concept of making offers. And if you downloaded my ebook 41 Ways to Find Motivated Sellers Fast as Hell, which if you haven't, you should. It's at needmotivatedsellers.com. It's a free download. But one thing I really stress in there is the power of when you're creating a new habit and building a discipline, start small. I tell new students, start by making 5 offers a day, because here's what happens. And I talk about this in the ebook. Basically, I have students who are super excited because they are motivated, right? And so they come to me and I tell them, hey, you got to make a lot of offers. This is a game of volume. And they'll say stuff like, man, I'm going to make 100 offers every day or 1,000 offers every day, whatever it is, right? And that's doable. But to me, that's the same as somebody who's out of shape. They're not in good shape and they say, hey, I want to get in shape. I'm going to do 1,000 push-ups tomorrow. It's like, all right, like, cool, man. I guess that's impressive if you can do it. But number one, there's a good chance you probably can't do it. Number two, if you do it, you're going to be sore and burnt out. You're not going to be able to work out the next day. And it's probably not going to make any noticeable difference in your life. Whereas the other person, the person I recommend you be, is going to commit to the discipline of doing. You're going to say, for week 1, I'm going to do 5 push-ups every day. Week 2, 10 push-ups every day. Week 3, 15, 20, and so on and so forth. And I'm not going to skip any days. I'll commit to it, whether I'm tired or not. What's going to happen is that person is not going to get burnt out. They're going to start with something manageable, and when they're incrementally making those improvements, they're going to probably start to love the process. They're going to get stronger. They're going to see results. They're not going to get burnt out. And as they become more efficient, meaning they can do more push-ups and get stronger, it'll actually feel a lot easier. So that's just another example of why you need to commit to these habits, and how when you have that strong foundation, they can actually build, all these things kind of build on each other. So those are just some tips. Again, you can stay motivated. It will help. It's a great cheat code, but really we're not looking to always be motivated because you're chasing something that simply doesn't exist. So stop asking that shitty question and start asking, how can I be more disciplined? And start to view discipline as a very good and very positive thing. So that's all I got for you now. If you enjoyed that, and I hope you did, please leave a comment. Please subscribe to the channel. When I release that program, that video series on talking to sellers and getting your contracts accepted, with the NLP stuff intertwined, I'll post that stuff out here. So hopefully you can check that out and enjoy. And my next video, I'm going to get back to some of the process stuff, some very detailed wholesaling stuff, which I'm actually going to be, again, over the shoulder style, showing you some case study stuff on some recent deals and how you can do this as well. So as usual, hey, thank you guys for joining me. I know you got a lot of options out here. I really appreciate you supporting the channel, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks again. Peace out.